Hey, coaches, welcome to Championship Culture. Got a fantastic guest tonight. Lonnie Cox is the head football coach at Fairmont High School in North Carolina. Lonnie is a young, sharp up-and-comer, a great offensive mind, and he is on his second turnaround situation. He's already turned around the program at Union Pines. He was there for 2 years. In those 2 years, he created the first back-to-back winning seasons in school history, and he also tied for the most wins in school history. And for those who don't know Lonnie, he does a great job on social media, super positive, loves kids, brings a lot of enthusiasm, and has done a great job at his first stop at Union Pines, and now he's coming into his second year here at Fairmont. Great athletes at Fairmont, and he spent the first year kind of building the foundation, and we're looking for great things to come. So Lonnie, thank you so much for being on here tonight, buddy.
Coach Salas, thank you so much for having me. It's really good to be on here tonight and get to share my love of the game of football with everybody.
Awesome, man. I'm glad you're here. Let's go ahead and start. Question number one, can you give a 1-minute elevator introduction of yourself?
Well, I'm gonna kind of steal this from Coach Hickman. I've heard him say this before, but I think it fits me well. I think God sends some to Africa, he sends others to Honduras, but I believe he sent me to a football field that's 120 yards long and 53 yards wide. I really believe that it's what he's called me to do. I've always prayed throughout my whole life for God to put me where, he's wanted me to be, and he's put me there. So I really take great pride and great honor in getting to work with young men on a daily basis. I mean, obviously we want to win on the game field, but I think it's even more important to help our young men become winners in life, to teach them how to be a good husband, a good father, because those things are way more important than a tunnel screen that you could call on offense, or an ET stunts you can call on defense, or faking a punt on special teams. It's really, really important for us coaches to use football as a platform for teaching these young men how to be, or teaching these young teenagers how to be good men.
Awesome, brother. Well said. You didn't mention that Fairmont is you're an alumni of Fairmont, so you're coming back home. I know you're excited. Probably your parents are excited about getting you back home, and the local community is probably excited about having you back.
Yeah, the opportunity to come back home is something I always dreamed about. I didn't think it would be this soon. But God has a way of allowing things to happen the way they do, and it's just really come full circle, Coach Salas, to know just 15 years ago I was walking these same hallways, doing workouts in this same weight room, doing workouts in that same gym. It's really come full circle, and I thank God every single day that He's allowed me to come back home and serve the community that's helped make me the man I am. I always feel like I'm forever indebted to Fairmont and to this community. And I just, I'm really, really excited to help make us the best possible version of ourselves. And, just really, really enthusiastic about what's to come here.
Talk a little bit. This is actually your second stint there. You were a hotshot O coordinator under a Hall of Famer there not too long ago. So, you've been there as a player, you've been there as an offensive coordinator, and now back as the head coach. Talk about your time as the O coordinator a little bit.
Well, I was really blessed to have a lot of good athletes. I'll tell any coach out there, you're only as good as the players you have. I feel like my players have made me a great coach. And when I was here the first time, I had a really superstar, once in a lifetime type quarterback in Julius Calder. He ended up throwing for almost 11,000 yards in 3 seasons. But, Julius was able to do that because he had 2 Division I receivers as well in Jordan Waters, who's probably going to be the starting running back at Duke this season. And he had another young man, Jarick Moore, who had several Division I offers on the other side. So we just presented a lot of problems to defenses, especially, being able to go vertical on people. So it just opened up so much underneath for us just to, dink and dunk and take 5 yards at a time. And, we were able to have a lot of success because of the athletes that we had. And like I said, I can just go all day long. I don't think that I would be the coach that I am today without, having had good players. And, I'll always give my players the credit for anything that I've accomplished in my career, because I couldn't have done it without them.
Well, we're gonna have you on the channel soon, talking about quick game. So you're known as a very innovative offensive mind, but tonight we're talking culture. So let's get to question number 2. What is your definition of culture in your program?
Well, I think there's a direct correlation between culture and consistency. And, your culture is going to become what you do on a consistent basis. With that being said, I think that you can have, a great culture when you have a good system in place. And, years and years ago, when I was a young, dumb coach working with you, Coach Salas, I didn't, quite understand the purpose of having a system for everything. And, I think in order to have a good culture, you have to have a good system, whether that be a system in the weight room, a system on offense, a system on defense, a system on special teams, a system for, discipline and how you handle certain situations, a system for, how you're going to do team meals. Success and culture is all about what you do on a consistent basis. And so if you have a system in place in all these different phases of football, you have more of a chance to be successful, to be more consistent, because, if you want your kids to be consistent in what they do, then you've got to be consistent in what you do. They're going to pick up on who's consistent and who's, going to expect you to do the same right things over and over again every single day. And if the kids see that you're consistent and you're doing that, then they're going to believe more in what you're doing. And, here's my real definition of culture. When those young men start to believe in what it is you're doing because you are being consistent, then they're going to start preaching the same thing that you're preaching. When the kids start doing the coaching and the coaches no longer have to do the coaching, that is evidence that you have a great culture in place, because now it's within them, and it's something they believe in, and it's something they're passionate about. That's when you have a great culture in place. But I think in order for that to happen, you have to have some success, and you have to give your kids a reason to keep believing in what it is you're doing.
Well said, man. I'm on your back on the consistency, and when you get them to the point where they're echoing your words, and that's the way we do things. That's when you got it going in the right direction. All right, so here comes a big one. I'm sorry, did I cut you off?
No, I said that's exactly right, Coach. No doubt about it.
All right, so the third question, and this is the big one, man. This is the one we want to steal your ideas. Can you share what are the 3 best things you do in your program to build culture?
So the first is, and this may not seem, like it's very innovative, but you've got to be consistent in what you say. So, if you tell the kids that, hey man, first period weight training, for example, our first period starts at 8:25 every morning. If you put the standard in place that you better be in this door and heading to that locker room to get dressed at 8:25, if they walk in there at 8:26, you better send them to get a tardy. So, whatever it is you say you're going to do, you better follow through with it, because, the first time you don't do what you said you were going to do, you lose all of your credibility as a coach. And I think that that's something a lot of us overlook, especially in our young years of coaching, is, whatever you put in place, you better make sure you can inspect it, because I believe that, what gets inspected gets done. There are times, Coach Salas, during my planning period, I have a great strength coach and Coach McKeithen, but there are times when I'll, during my planning period, I'll walk in here in the weight room and walk in and give a young man some feedback and say, hey, I like what's going on in here. And, it's almost like a principal going to a classroom to observe. If those teachers know that the principal is going to come by and maybe do an observation or a walkthrough, they're probably going to be more on their toes and their heels to do the right things. you know, and I think it's the same way with running a football program. You know, whatever it is you're wanting to get done, you better inspect it. And, you know, if things aren't going the right way, if there's some improvement to be made after you do reflection, you just simply meet on it, get better, and move on. But I think the first one is whatever it is you're going to put in place, what gets inspected gets done. Number two, as far as building my culture here, I really invest in my JV team. Now we were a little bit short-staffed this year, and that calls for me and another one of our coaches to have to stay back with the varsity some on Thursday, because you always got those situations where, you know, a kid doesn't have a ride and you can't necessarily leave and go to the JV game, and then leave that kid out here in the parking lot. But I said all that to say you have to spend a lot of time working with your ninth graders. I think it's imperative that you spend, you know, you spend time with them JV kids and let them know that culture is the most important thing. That until we have a good culture in place, you know, we're not going to win the way we want to. We're always going to beat who we're supposed to beat because, you know, we're athletic and we're pretty, but we're never going to win those close games against those teams who also have a great culture until we have a great culture. You know, I think about teams like Clinton. I think about teams like St. Paul's. I think about teams like Westover, who have, you know, a successful past. You're never going to beat those programs until you have a great culture in place. So I think it's really imperative, you know, you really spend some time with those ninth graders. You know, I jokingly told somebody this the other day. I think we spent more time doing bear crawls this year on JV than we did running plays. But, you know, what's special about that and seeing the results of this is, you know, last semester we had pretty much all of our freshmen in first period weight training, because you walk through the door in here and they're banging and clanging and they're all in. And I'm like, man, we've just really set the stage to have a bright future here, because we're going to cut out some of the issues that we've had with our upperclassmen in terms of discipline. And then the last thing is, and this is something that my defensive coordinator and I, who does a great job, we've really tried to instill in these kids is, you know, you got to walk in here every day with I can beat anyone mentality. I don't care how much clout a team has. I don't care what their RPI ranking is. I don't care how many state championships they've won. I don't care how many conference championships they've won. They can be beat on any given night. And we get our kids to buy into that because we always try to come up with a great game plan to win every week. When we walk out on the practice field on Monday, we say, this is what we're going to do to win this week. We don't say, if we do this correctly this week, we're going to win. We say, this is what we're going to do to win. And I'll give you a great example this year, St. Paul's, who had played in a state championship game just this past year, it come down to the wire. It was 22-18 with 3 minutes left, and we had the football driving on them. The perfect opportunity to go ahead 24-22. We fell a little bit short. You know, another opportunity. We led Westover this year, who ended up having 10 wins. We led them 13-12 after 3 quarters. So we get our young men to play hard. We get them to play with a lot of enthusiasm and energy, because when we start practice on a Monday, this is what we're going to do to win this week. And all they got to see is a little bit of evidence that things are working, and man, they'll give you everything they got.
Awesome, brother. Awesome. 3 good ones. Question number 4, and this is always funny when I'm talking to a young guy, but you've turned one program around. You're in the process of turning the second one around. You worked for a couple of Hall of Famers at Scotland and there at Fairmont. What do you know now that you wish you knew when you first got started?
Well, Coach Salas, I don't mind telling anybody this on air, and I'm sure I'll get a little grin out of you when I say this. But when I was a young coach, I thought I knew everything. I didn't handle constructive criticism well. And we had a coach on our staff. His name was Garen Warwick. And one day he and I were standing in the weight room at Lumberton, and Coach Warwick said, you know, Coach Cox, it's not what you don't know that hurts you. It's what you think you know that you have no clue about. And I think that has been in my heart every day since. And when I walked away from that conversation that day with Coach Ward, I began to understand just how important it is to be a sponge and to soak up everything you can. No matter who you work with, it's really, really important to learn absolutely what you should be doing. I've been really blessed to coach with a lot of great coaches, including you, Coach Richard Bailey, Coach Ken Neal, Coach Mark Howell. I can go on down the line, Coach Keith Wood. I can go on down the line and talk about all of the successful football coaches I've worked with. But in these 10 years too, I've learned some things that maybe you shouldn't do. So, no matter where you're at and be where your feet are at. Wherever you're at the time, soak up that learning experience. If that coach or those coaches in that program are doing a lot of good stuff, write it down. If you're seeing things that you think could be better, write it down. Because I think at the end of the day, you got to come up with your own system. You got to be Lonnie Cox. You got to be Coach Joe Salas. You got to be Coach Richard Bailey. You got to be yourself. And all you do is you take those things and you make them your own. I can't be a robot version of you. I can't be a robot version of Coach Bailey. I've got to be the best Lonnie Cox I can be. So, if I could give any young coaches out there any advice, just soak up everything you can and reflect on it daily and think about the types of things you could do if you were in charge. And, Coach Corey Johnson at Clinton, who I also look at as a mentor, he and I talk all the time about, steal the best from everybody. Go find out who runs power best in this state and learn it from them. Find out who runs a tunnel screen best in this state and learn it from them. Find out who has one of the most successful weight room programs in this state and learn it from them. When you go to a coach's clinic, I always show up with a pen and some paper and be ready to soak up as much as you can. And, you eventually make all of those ideas your own. You take what you want and run with it. You take what maybe you didn't like or you don't want to be a part of your program and put it to the side until you want to look at it again.
I love that, man. I love the whole concept of find out who's doing it the best and go learn from them. And I think that's where, English teachers and science teachers and math teachers, sometimes they get mad at football coaches, but I think we were doing that before all of them were doing that. What if a math teacher was going and finding the best people in the county and stealing from them? All of a sudden those test scores would be shooting up. So I probably just made all the math teachers mad, but many math teachers are coaches, like 3 of them. All right, so you did fantastic, buddy. Question number 5, what is your contact info? I know you're a Twitter guy, and do you have anything? I'll give you the last word. Anything you want to promote or anything else you want to share?
Well, so obviously, the address I use and I check my box every day. My address is the high school address, which is Fairmont High School in Fairmont, North Carolina. That's 5419 Old Stage Road, Fairmont, North Carolina, 28340. Always receiving mail at that address. This is normally how I send out mail when I need to. My email is a school email. It is lonnie.cox@robinson.k12.nc.us. And then my personal cell phone number is 919-498-5089. I do currently live in the 910 area code, and that's where I was born and raised. But when I was living in Sanford, when I was coaching at Union Pines and Southern Lee, got that 919 area code, so it'd be much easier to talk to people. And then my Twitter handle is FHSFB Cox. I keep it private just so I can keep certain people off of things I post, because obviously I don't want everything to be a representation of Fairmont or who I work with. But just shoot me a follow request, and I'll be able to pretty much see who's a football coach. And I'll add
share the Twitter again. You went out when you were given that one. FHS
FB Cox.
FB Cox.
Yes, sir. Which stands for Fairmont High School Football Cox.
Okay, I'll put that one in the show notes. That's usually the best way to get with me is to DM me. So I'll make sure that's in there. And anything else you want to share? Anything you want to promote?
Just really, really thankful to be able to get on here tonight and talk about culture and to be able to share a lot of ideas. You know, guys, what I would tell any of you is, you know, when you're a young coach, don't be bullheaded. Uh, don't be stubborn. Take constructive criticism. And all I would tell you is, you know, before you decide to become a head coach or even a coordinator, learn as much as you can from as many people as you can, so that when you get your first opportunity to be in that type of role, you're the best version of yourself.
Awesome, brother. You did a great job, man. I appreciate you coming on and doing this.
Thank you, Coach Salas.